Have you ever wondered why some women seem to effortlessly capture a man's heart while others struggle to hold his attention no matter how much love and effort they give? It's not about being prettier, smarter, or more accomplished. It's about something deeper, something invisible yet undeniable that makes him feel like no one else could ever compare to you. Right now, you might feel that fear of not being enough, of being overlooked, of pouring your heart into someone only to watch him drift away. That fear is real, but so is the possibility of changing everything. Because the secret to making him choose you over every other woman is not luck, and it is not competition. It is about stepping into a version of yourself that speaks to his soul in a way no one else can. Men are not just drawn to beauty or charm. They are drawn to the energy of a woman who knows her worth, a woman who makes him feel seen, respected, and alive. When he feels that his life expands with you, that he is stronger, happier, and more himself because of you, no one else can replace that. And here's the truth. You have that power within you already. It's not about pretending to be perfect. It's about unlocking the natural magnetism that comes from being deeply aligned with who you are. Think about this. Most women chase approval, trying to prove they are the best choice. But that mindset only drains your energy and makes him sense desperation instead of confidence. The shift happens when you stop fighting for a place in his life and start creating a life so rich, so full of value that he cannot imagine walking away. He will not choose you because you beg for his love. He will choose you because you radiate a strength that makes him want to stay. This is not about playing games or manipulating emotions. It is about understanding the psychology of attraction at its core. Research shows that people bond strongest with those who trigger feelings of significance and belonging. Men are no different. When he feels important in your presence, when you bring out the best in him without losing yourself, he feels a connection that goes beyond surface attraction. That connection is what makes you unforgettable. Imagine how freeing it would feel to stop worrying about competition, to stop comparing yourself to every other woman, and instead step fully into your power. Picture the moment he looks at you and knows without doubt that you are the one who makes his world brighter. That is the emotional reward waiting for you if you stay with me until the end of this journey. Because together, we are going to uncover how to transform your energy, your presence, and your mindset into a force so magnetic that his choice becomes effortless. Stay here, because this is not just another video. This is a turning point. The choice you have is simple. Keep living with the doubt and fear that he might slip away, or step into the secret that makes him see you as the only woman who truly matters. By the end, you will understand exactly how to embody that secret. And once you do, no other woman will ever compare. The truth is, a man does not fall in love with what he sees on the surface. He falls in love with how he feels when he is with you. That feeling is what sets you apart from every other woman he has ever known. When he feels at ease, understood, and inspired in your presence, he begins to associate his own happiness with you. That is when choice disappears, because the bond becomes instinctive. He doesn't compare. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't look around. His heart knows where it belongs. But to create that unshakable bond, you must first believe you are worthy of it. Confidence is not just about how you look or the words you speak. True confidence radiates from the certainty that you deserve love, respect, and commitment. When you carry that belief, it changes how you move, how you respond, and how you allow others to treat you. Men sense this immediately, often without even knowing why. It is the invisible signal that separates women who get chosen from women who get overlooked. So many give their power away by shrinking, by accepting crumbs, by waiting for someone else to validate them. But the woman who stands tall in her worth creates a presence that is unforgettable. That presence is not loud or forceful. It is calm, steady, and magnetic. It says, without words, I know who I am, I know what I bring, and I will not settle for less. When a man encounters that energy, he feels both challenged and inspired. He doesn't just want to be near it, he wants to rise to meet it. This is where psychology becomes your ally. Human beings are wired to value what feels rare and irreplaceable. When you fully embrace your own uniqueness, when you stop competing and start embodying your authentic essence, you become rare by nature. That rarity cannot be faked, and it cannot be copied. Another woman may try to impress him with beauty, charm, or attention, but those are fleeting. The woman who offers authenticity combined with self-respect is the woman who cannot be replaced. You must understand this. Men are not searching for someone perfect. They are searching for someone real, someone who brings peace to their chaos, someone who awakens a deeper part of themselves. When you stop hiding your light, when you stop apologizing for who you are, you become that person. And in that moment, he begins to see a future that only makes sense with you in it. Imagine the shift inside yourself when you no longer question whether you are enough. Imagine the strength of walking into any room, knowing you carry a presence that cannot be duplicated. That power does not come from what you do for him, but from the way you show up for yourself. The greatest gift you can give a man is not your sacrifice, but your wholeness, because wholeness is what inspires him to commit, to protect, and to cherish. When you embrace this truth, you stop asking, will he choose me? And you start declaring, of course he will. Not because you forced him, not because you competed for him, but because you became the woman whose energy cannot be replaced. And once you unlock that, you will understand why the choice was never between you and anyone else. It was always about whether you believed enough in yourself to let him see who you really are. A man's heart is moved most deeply not by perfection, but by connection. The reason he chooses one woman over all others is not because she checks every box on some imaginary list, but because she awakens something inside him that no one else can touch. That spark is not created by trying harder, giving more, or proving yourself. It is created by the power of emotional safety. When he feels safe to be himself around you, when he feels he can lay down his armor without being judged or diminished, you become the place he longs to return to. That safety is the foundation of unshakable attraction. So many women confuse attraction with performance. They believe they must constantly impress, entertain, or outshine the competition, but that effort quickly becomes exhausting, both for you and for him. What keeps a man's soul tied to yours is not constant performance, but the rare feeling that he is fully accepted. Every man, no matter how strong he appears, carries hidden fears, doubts, and insecurities. When you become the woman who makes him feel worthy in spite of them, you touch a part of him that no one else has reached. This is why authenticity is so powerful. When you are genuine in your presence, when you listen with openness instead of judgment, when you allow him to reveal himself without pressure, you send a silent message that says, with me, you are enough. That message is irresistible. It builds trust, it builds loyalty, and it builds a bond that competition cannot break. Because while beauty may attract him and chemistry may excite him, it is trust that keeps him. Psychologists call this the principle of emotional attachment. We are wired to bond with those who make us feel secure. If his experience with you is one of acceptance, peace, and encouragement, his brain begins to associate love and stability with you. The more this association grows, the harder it becomes for him to even imagine choosing anyone else. And here lies the real secret. It is not about standing above other women. It is about becoming so deeply connected to his sense of self that you are woven into his very identity. Picture the strength of being that anchor in his life. Imagine the moment he realizes that while others may come and go, you are the one who truly sees him. That realization is not a fleeting feeling. It is a turning point that shapes his decisions and his future. He no longer asks himself who else is out there because he has already found the rarest gift a man can receive. A woman who understands him without stripping him of his pride. A woman who accepts him without diminishing her own value. And here is where your true power lies. By standing firm in your worth, by holding space for him to be real while never compromising your own standards, you become the woman who changes how he views love itself. You stop being an option and become the definition of what partnership means to him. That is not something he can walk away from, because it is not just about attraction anymore. It is about identity, belonging, and destiny. When you embody that energy, you will never again wonder if he will choose you. The answer will already be written in the way he clings to the peace and power only you provide. Every man longs to feel that his life is elevated by the woman he chooses. He doesn't stay where he feels drained, criticized, or minimized. He stays where he feels alive, expanded, and inspired. This is why your energy is the most powerful tool you possess. Energy speaks louder than words. It shapes how he experiences you. It determines whether he feels pulled closer or quietly pushed away. When your presence radiates calm confidence and quiet strength, he feels it immediately. It awakens something inside him that says, "This is where I belong." Most women underestimate the influence of their energy. They focus on appearance, gestures, or strategies, forgetting that the atmosphere they create is what lingers in his memory. A woman who carries anxiety, jealousy, or fear unknowingly plants those emotions into the relationship. But a woman who stands rooted in self-trust brings an entirely different vibration. She becomes a source of stability, not chaos. She becomes the peace he never realized he needed. And once a man experiences that peace, he cannot easily let it go. This is not about suppressing your feelings or pretending to be perfect. It is about choosing to operate from self-awareness rather than fear. When you feel fear, you may try to control, to question, to demand. But when you operate from self-assurance, you no longer need to grasp tightly. You know your value is not at risk. That calmness creates space for him to lean in naturally, without resistance. He feels free, yet deeply tethered to you, because freedom without connection feels empty, but freedom within connection feels unshakable. Psychology proves that emotions are contagious. The state you live in becomes the state you transmit. If you live in doubt, he feels that doubt. If you live in joy, he feels that joy. This is why inner alignment is so powerful. When you cultivate happiness from within, when your fulfillment is not dependent on him, but is magnified by his presence, he experiences you as a source of light instead of a weight. Light draws people closer. Weight pushes them away. Think about how powerful it is to be the woman who elevates his mood simply by being near him, not because you try to entertain, but because your energy is centered, confident, and positive. That energy becomes addictive. It becomes a safe place he craves, the breath of fresh air he cannot replace. Other women may offer attraction, but attraction without depth fades. What lasts is the feeling of elevation, the sense that with you, life feels better, fuller, and more meaningful. This is the secret that separates temporary attention from lasting devotion. Temporary attention is easy to gain. A spark, a glance, a moment of excitement, anyone can create that. But devotion is born when he feels his spirit rise in your presence. Devotion is born when he realizes that choosing you is not just about being with a woman, but about choosing the version of himself he becomes when he is with you. That realization changes everything. It shifts love from desire to destiny. And once he tastes that transformation, no distraction, no temptation, no comparison will ever be enough to pull him away from you. A man may admire beauty, he may enjoy charm, but what secures his loyalty is the way you challenge him to grow while still making him feel accepted. Deep inside, every man longs for two things, freedom and purpose. He wants the freedom to be himself without judgment, and he wants the purpose that comes from building something greater than himself. The woman he cannot walk away from is the one who gives him both. She gives him space to breathe, yet inspires him to rise higher. She makes him feel safe, yet never stagnant. With her, he feels like a better man, not because she demands it, but because she awakens it within him. This is why balance is so powerful. Too much pressure suffocates a man, but too little inspiration leaves him restless. When you master the balance of acceptance and elevation, you unlock his deepest desire to commit fully and freely. Psychology tells us that humans are most bonded when they feel both supported and challenged. Support without challenge feels dull. Challenge without support feels exhausting. But when the two coexist, the connection becomes electric. It is no longer just a relationship. It is a journey of transformation that he never wants to end. To embody this, you must first cultivate your own standards. When you know what you deserve, when you refuse to lower your value just to be chosen, you naturally inspire him to step into his higher self. He senses that being with you requires growth, not because you pressure him, but because your presence calls him upward. And men do not forget the women who elevate them. They may be entertained by many, but they are transformed by very few. Transformation is what anchors their loyalty. Imagine the power of being the woman who makes him see his potential more clearly. Picture him realizing that with you, he dreams bigger, he works harder, and he believes more in himself. That realization ties his heart to you in ways that superficial attraction never could. He doesn't just see you as a partner, He sees you as the reason he becomes the man he always wanted to be. That bond is not breakable. It is not replaceable. It is the reason he will choose you, not once, but every single day. This does not mean sacrificing yourself for his growth. It means embodying your own growth so powerfully that he cannot help but rise to meet you. When you live with vision, when you invest in yourself, when you refuse to shrink to make others comfortable, you ignite something inside him. He feels the pull of your energy, the fire of your ambition, the steadiness of your values. And in that pull, he sees the path forward with you as his partner, not because you demanded it, but because you inspired it. The deepest secret is this: the woman who is chosen is the woman who chooses herself first. She builds her own foundation, she honors her own worth, and she lives in alignment with her own truth. That self-devotion is what makes her magnetic. And when a man meets a woman who is already whole, already radiant, already rising, he knows without hesitation that he has found the one he cannot afford to lose. When a woman chooses herself first, she creates a shift that a man cannot ignore. Her energy no longer says, "Please pick me," but instead declares, "I already know my value." That declaration is silent, yet it reverberates in every interaction. It changes the way she speaks, the way she carries herself, the way she responds. And he feels it. He feels the difference between a woman who is waiting for validation and a woman who is living in alignment with her worth. The latter becomes magnetic because she no longer seeks permission to shine. She shines because it is her nature. This kind of confidence is not arrogance. It is not loud, desperate, or forceful. It is quiet certainty. It is knowing that no one else defines your value and no one else determines your future. When a man encounters that certainty, it sparks both respect and admiration. He realizes that being with you is not about rescuing you, fixing you, or completing you. It is about joining you, walking beside you, and building with you. That realization changes the dynamic entirely. You are no longer an option among many. You are the standard by which all others are measured. Psychology shows us that humans value what feels scarce and authentic. Confidence rooted in self-respect is rare. Most people move through life chasing approval, molding themselves into what they think others want, shrinking their truth to fit in. But the woman who refuses to shrink, who refuses to beg for space, becomes unforgettable. She radiates freedom, and freedom is irresistible because deep down, every man craves a partner who liberates him from pressure, from performance, from the mask he wears in the world. When you live authentically, you invite him to do the same. That invitation is priceless. Think about how powerful it is to become a mirror of possibility for him. When he sees you standing, firm in your worth, unapologetic about your dreams, unwavering in your standards, something awakens in him. He begins to imagine what life could look like with a woman who refuses to settle. He begins to realize that if he chooses you, he is choosing a life of alignment, growth, and truth. That vision is intoxicating because it offers not just love, but purpose. And here lies the deeper truth. Men do not stay for the woman who is easiest to be with. They stay for the woman who makes them feel most alive. Aliveness is not found in endless sacrifice or in constant agreement. Aliveness is found in the tension of support and strength, acceptance and inspiration. It is found in the moments where he knows you see him as he is, but you also believe in the man he can become. That is the space where love transforms into devotion. When you stand in your power without apology, you remind him that choosing you is not just about companionship. It is about becoming. It is about stepping into a relationship that demands honesty, courage, and growth. And once he realizes that his best self exists only with you by his side, no distraction will ever compare. You will not need to convince him. You will not need to compete, because his own heart will remind him that the choice has already been made. When you stop needing to be chosen, you instantly become the woman he cannot stop choosing. The shift is subtle but undeniable. Instead of waiting to be validated, you carry the quiet assurance that you are already complete. That assurance changes how you show up in love. You no longer chase, you no longer cling, you no longer fear being replaced. You move with ease, and ease is magnetic. Men are not drawn to pressure, they are drawn to presence. And presence comes from a woman who knows she is enough before anyone else confirms it. This kind of presence is powerful because it creates contrast. While others compete, compare, and compromise themselves, you stand still in your strength. While others exhaust themselves trying to prove their worth, you embody yours without effort. That contrast is what makes him look at you differently. You are not simply another woman in the room. You are the one who does not need the room to approve of her. That energy captures attention and holds it, not because you asked for it, but because it is undeniable. Psychologists call this self-fulfilling identity. When you believe you are valuable, your actions, your tone, your decisions all begin to align with that belief. Others pick up on it and treat you accordingly. The same works in reverse. If you doubt yourself, your actions communicate that doubt, and others unconsciously mirror it back. This is why self-belief is non-negotiable. The way you see yourself is the way others will eventually see you. And when you see yourself as irreplaceable, he will too. Imagine the calm that comes with this power. No more anxiety over who else he might notice. No more late nights questioning whether you measure up. No more shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's idea of what love should look like. Instead, you rise fully into who you are, and he rises with you. He stops searching because what he needs is no longer missing. You provide the one thing that competition cannot manufacture, the energy of certainty. Men crave certainty more than they admit. In a world full of options, temptations, and distractions, what pulls him closer is not the loudest or flashiest choice. It is the one that feels steady. It is the one that feels true. When you live in alignment with your worth, you become that certainty. You are no longer asking him to define your value. You are inviting him to rise into it. And once he experiences that, walking away feels like abandoning his own peace. The irony is that the less you try to control his choice, the more certain his choice becomes. Because when you release fear, when you release comparison, when you release the need to be everything to him, you create space for love to grow naturally. Love that is chosen freely, not forced. Love that is rooted in respect, not fear. That kind of love cannot be shaken because it was never built on desperation. It was built on truth. And truth is what always endures. This is why the woman who chooses herself is always the woman who is ultimately chosen. Not because she begged for it, but because she embodied it. She lived it. She became the proof that love is not about competition, but about connection to what is real. And once a man tastes what is real, every imitation falls away. What makes you unforgettable is not how much you give, but how deeply you embody your truth. A man may enjoy attention. He may appreciate effort, but what bonds him to you is the rare experience of authenticity. Authenticity is magnetic because it is scarce. So many women try to mold themselves into what they think a man desires, hoping that if they adjust enough, they will finally be chosen. But adjustment only breeds exhaustion. Pretending only delays rejection. The moment you strip away the mask and stand fully as yourself, you separate from the rest. He no longer sees you as one of many. He sees you as the one who cannot be replaced. Authenticity does not mean sharing everything or exposing all your vulnerabilities at once. It means being aligned. Your words match your actions. Your energy matches your truth. There is no gap between who you say you are and how you actually live. That consistency creates trust, and trust is the foundation of devotion. Attraction may ignite quickly, but without trust, it burns out just as fast. Trust is what endures. Trust is what transforms fleeting interest into lifelong choice. This is why a man's heart gravitates toward the woman who knows herself. When you know your values, when you live by your standards, when you are unapologetic about your needs, you become clear. Clarity is powerful because it cuts through the noise. It tells him exactly who you are and what you stand for. And while others may bend and twist themselves to win him over, you simply stand tall in your truth. That steadiness is irresistible because in a world full of confusion, clarity feels like home. Psychology shows us that the strongest bonds are built when two people can be their true selves without fear of rejection. If you hide parts of yourself to keep him close, you may win his attention, but you will not win his devotion. He cannot commit fully to a version of you that even you are unwilling to embrace. But when you embrace yourself completely, flaws and all, you give him permission to love you as you are. And that love is deeper because it is rooted in reality, not illusion. Imagine the power of being loved not for a role you play, but for the essence of who you are. Imagine the freedom of never worrying about being replaced because you are not performing, you are simply being. That freedom is what creates unshakable attraction. Because while looks may fade, while charm may be copied, authenticity is eternal. No one else can replicate it. No one else can compete with it. It is your most powerful advantage. When you live authentically, you no longer fear comparison because comparison loses its meaning. He may notice other women, but they will not touch him the way you do. They may catch his eye, but they will not reach his soul because his soul recognizes truth, and truth cannot be substituted. This is why the woman who is chosen is never the one who tries the hardest to be perfect. She is the one who dares to be real, and when you embody that courage, you no longer wait for love to find you. Love cannot help but stay because it has found the one place it knows it will never be betrayed. A man is drawn not just to the woman who is real, but to the woman who knows how to protect her own light. Too often, women give so much of themselves away that they are left empty, hoping that sacrifice will secure devotion. But sacrifice without boundaries does not create love, it creates imbalance. The woman who is chosen above all others is the one who gives without losing herself, who loves without abandoning her own soul. That balance is what makes her irreplaceable. She becomes a rare combination of warmth and strength, of compassion and self-respect. Boundaries are not walls to keep love out. They are the frame that allows love to grow without distortion. When you know what you will and will not accept, you teach him how to treat you. You set the tone for the relationship, not with demands, but with your standards. And men deeply respect standards. They may resist them at first, but over time, standards create trust. They show him that your love is not cheap, that your presence is not guaranteed by default. He must rise to meet you, and in rising, he discovers a deeper level of commitment within himself. This is the psychology of value. Humans instinctively protect and honor what they perceive as valuable. If you allow constant disrespect, neglect, or inconsistency, you unconsciously communicate that your worth is negotiable. But when you stand firm, when you make it clear that love must be rooted in respect, you increase your value in his eyes. You become the woman he cannot take for granted. And when a man cannot take you for granted, he cherishes you more fiercely than he ever thought possible. Boundaries also preserve your energy. They allow you to give love generously without resentment because you know you are not being drained. That energy is what keeps your presence light instead of heavy, joyful instead of resentful. He feels that difference immediately. A woman who loves from overflow feels radiant. A woman who loves from emptiness feels exhausted. Radiance attracts, exhaustion repels. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is the key to sustain the very connection you want him to treasure. Imagine being the woman who never has to beg for respect because her very presence commands it. Imagine the power of knowing that you are not afraid to walk away from what does not honor you. That quiet strength is intoxicating. It creates certainty in him that he has found someone he cannot afford to lose. Not because you threatened him, but because your standards made him realize that being with you requires his best. And when a man gives his best, he bonds himself to the relationship in ways that casual attraction never can. The deepest loyalty grows where boundaries exist, because boundaries create safety. They let him know exactly where he stands, and they let you know exactly what you deserve. That clarity removes games, confusion, and fear. It builds a foundation of respect so strong that love can flourish freely. And when love flourishes freely, without fear, without resentment, without compromise of self, it becomes unbreakable. That is the love he will choose again and again. That is the love that makes you the woman who stands above all others, not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it. Respect is the soil in which devotion grows, but admiration is the sunlight that makes it flourish. A man does not stay with a woman simply because she is kind or loving. He stays because she awakens in him a sense of pride, a sense that he is more than he was before her. When a man admires the woman he loves, when he looks at her with awe because of her strength, her grace, her courage, he feels that choosing her is not just an act of love, but an act of becoming. That is why admiration is not optional. It is essential. Men are wired to seek significance. Deep down, they long to matter, to contribute, to be seen as capable and strong. The woman who secures his heart forever is the one who reflects back to him the best version of himself. Not by false praise, not by empty words, but by genuinely recognizing his growth, his effort, his essence. When you see him for who he is at his core and acknowledge the man he is striving to become, you feed a part of him that no one else can reach. That nourishment becomes addictive. It ties his identity to the love you share. But admiration cannot be faked, and it cannot be given blindly. It must be rooted in truth. This is why your own standards and authenticity matter so much. Because when you live from your values, when you stand in your strength, your admiration carries weight. Your respect is earned, not handed out carelessly. And when he earns it, it means something. It gives him purpose. It motivates him to continue rising, not because you demanded it, but because your presence makes him want to. Psychology teaches us that people are most loyal to the relationships where they feel both challenged and appreciated. If you challenge a man without admiration, he feels criticized. If you admire him without challenge, he feels stagnant. But when you combine both, you ignite his drive while grounding his spirit. You become the source of his strength, not by completing him, but by reminding him of the man he can be. That reminder is powerful. It is unforgettable. Picture the bond that forms when he realizes you are not just a partner, but his mirror of greatness. When he sees himself through your eyes, not as flawed or failing, but as capable, worthy, and strong, he feels a loyalty that no other woman can compete with. Because while others may see only what he shows, you see what he truly is. That depth of vision binds him to you because being with you is not about performance. It is about truth. Admiration also fuels attraction. Desire does not die when love matures. It deepens when respect and admiration grow. A man who feels admired is a man who feels desired. And a man who feels desired is a man who cannot stay away. This is why admiration is more than a compliment. It is oxygen for his soul. When you breathe that life into him with sincerity, he does not just love you. He commits to you. He chooses you, not once, not twice, but endlessly, because in your eyes, he sees the reflection of the man he has always longed to be. Admiration opens the door to something even more powerful, the experience of emotional intimacy. Attraction may begin with the physical, but what makes a man choose one woman above all others is the depth of emotional connection he feels with her. When he can share his fears without shame, when he can reveal his weaknesses without rejection, when he can express his dreams without ridicule, he begins to feel a rare kind of closeness. That closeness is what makes him stay. It is not found in surface-level interactions or fleeting chemistry. It is built in a sacred space of emotional safety. Emotional intimacy is not about constant conversation or endless confessions. It is about presence. It is about truly listening, not to respond, but to understand. When you give him your undivided attention, when you hold space for his words without judgment, you create a sanctuary where he feels free. Men are not often given that sanctuary. The world expects them to be strong, to carry burdens silently, to never crack under pressure. But inside, they long for a place where they can let go of the weight. When you become that place, you are no longer competing with anyone. You are offering what no one else has given. Psychology tells us that vulnerability is the birthplace of trust. When he feels safe enough to be vulnerable with you, his trust in you multiplies. And trust is the deepest form of intimacy. Trust makes him lower his guard. Trust makes him share what he hides from everyone else. Trust makes him feel that you are not just a partner, but the one person who knows him in ways the rest of the world never will. That knowledge creates devotion, because once a man has been fully seen and still fully accepted, he cannot easily walk away. But intimacy is not one-sided. It grows when you allow yourself to be seen too. When you share your truth, your needs, your fears, you show him that the connection is mutual. Vulnerability invites vulnerability. Your openness encourages his openness. Your honesty makes his honesty safe. And together, you build a bond that is stronger than any outside temptation. Because in a world filled with distractions, he will never risk losing the one place where he feels completely known and completely loved. Imagine the strength of being the woman he runs to when the world feels heavy. Imagine the power of knowing that while others may know his surface, you know his soul. That kind of intimacy cannot be replicated. It cannot be replaced. It ties his heart to yours in ways no competition could ever touch. Other women may capture his attention, but only you will hold his truth. And when his truth lives with you, his loyalty lives with you as well. This is the essence of why men choose. They do not choose the woman who gives the most, or even the one who seems perfect on paper. They choose the woman who makes them feel seen, safe, and alive. They choose the woman who gives them a home, not just in her presence, but in her heart. And once that home is found, there is no other place worth searching for. Emotional intimacy sets the stage, but what truly sustains his devotion is consistency. Feelings may ignite quickly, but they only grow when they are fed daily with actions that align with your words. Many women underestimate the quiet power of consistency, yet psychology proves that repeated patterns create deep emotional imprints. When he can rely on you to be steady, to be present, and to remain true regardless of circumstance, he begins to see you not as a fleeting presence, but as a constant in his life. Constancy is rare in a world that is always changing, and that rarity makes it priceless. Consistency does not mean perfection. It means reliability. It means showing up with the same level of respect, kindness, and intention even when life feels overwhelming. Men notice patterns even if they do not speak them aloud. When your actions match your words over time, you build a foundation of trust so strong it is nearly unshakable. He does not question your loyalty because you have proven it through repeated care. He does not doubt your feelings because they have remained steady through challenges. He does not fear abandonment because your presence has shown him that you are not temporary. Think of the comfort that rises from knowing someone will not disappear when things get difficult. That comfort transforms into emotional security, and security is the soil where love grows. Without it, relationships become unstable, filled with doubt and second guessing. But when a man feels secure with you, when he knows that you are consistent in your affection, your respect, and your presence, he will not search for reassurance elsewhere. You will become the one place in his life that feels certain, and certainty is something every heart longs for. Consistency also nurtures respect. When he observes that you live by your values, that your words are not just promises but standards you uphold, he cannot help but admire you more deeply. Respect strengthens attraction because it is rooted in substance, not appearance. Anyone can impress for a moment, but only a woman who is consistent can inspire lasting admiration. That admiration makes him see you not only as a partner, but as someone who elevates his own standards, someone who challenges him to grow because of how firmly you live your truth. The beauty of consistency is that it builds momentum without demanding grand gestures. Small, steady actions accumulate into something powerful. A kind word when he least expects it. A patient response when conflict arises. A reliable presence when he is struggling. These simple acts may feel ordinary, but together they weave a bond that feels extraordinary. Over time, he will realize that no one else offers him this same level of stability, and that realization anchors his heart more firmly to you. Other women may catch his attention with novelty or temporary excitement, but consistency outlasts all of that. Excitement fades when there's no foundation, but steady love grows stronger with time. What begins as appreciation turns into devotion. What begins as trust turns into loyalty. What begins as comfort turns into an unshakable bond. When you embody consistency, you do not have to ask him to choose you. He chooses you naturally because he knows that no one else can give him the same unwavering presence you provide. And in the end, it is not the loudest passion that lasts, but the love that proves itself day after day. Consistency creates the structure, but what makes that structure unshakable is the strength of your boundaries. Boundaries are not walls that keep love out. They are the framework that keeps love pure, safe, and respected. Without them, even the strongest attraction can wither under pressure. With them, love becomes sustainable, healthy, and deeply valued. Men may not always say it, but they respect a woman who knows where she stands and refuses to compromise her worth. That respect draws them closer because it signals that you are not desperate for attention. You are committed to honor, both his and your own. Boundaries communicate something powerful, self-respect. When you hold to your standards, when you refuse to tolerate disrespect, when you make it clear that your presence is a privilege, not a right, you elevate yourself in his eyes. You are no longer one of many, you are rare. Psychology proves that scarcity increases value. When a man realizes that not everyone has access to your time, your energy, or your heart, he begins to treasure the access he has. He invests more, he shows up better, because he knows he is with a woman who will never settle for less than she deserves. It is not about being hard or distant. It is about clarity. It is about knowing what aligns with your values and calmly standing by it. When you communicate your boundaries with love and firmness, you create an environment where respect flourishes. A man who truly cares will rise to meet your standards not because you forced him, but because he recognizes the gift of being in your life. And as he rises, he becomes more invested because effort deepens attachment. The more he invests, the less likely he is to let go. Boundaries also protect intimacy. They guard against the erosion of trust by preventing patterns that breed resentment. When you clearly define what is acceptable and what is not, misunderstandings lessen and respect deepens. He knows where you stand, and that certainty makes him feel safe too. Love without boundaries may feel exciting at first, but it quickly turns unstable. Love with boundaries grows in strength because both partners know the rules of the space they share. And in that clarity, the bond becomes unbreakable. When you set and keep your boundaries, you show him that your love is not born of fear, but of strength. Fear makes people accept less. Strength makes people wait for more. A woman with boundaries is a woman who refuses to beg for love because she knows her value demands that love be freely chosen, not reluctantly given. That confidence captivates him more than any appearance ever could. It makes him see you as someone irreplaceable, someone who commands respect without even raising her voice. Other women may bend, compromise, or chase to hold his attention. But when you stand firm in your truth, you rise above competition altogether. He cannot compare you to anyone else because you are not trying to be like anyone else. You are guided by your values, and that makes you unforgettable. In a world filled with endless options, he will always choose the woman who shows him that love is not about losing herself to please another, but about standing strong while inviting him into her strength. That kind of love does not fade. It only grows deeper with time. Boundaries shape respect. But what magnifies love beyond respect is the energy you bring into his life. Energy is invisible yet undeniable. It is the way you make him feel when you walk into a room, the atmosphere you create through your presence, the vibration you carry that either uplifts or drains. People remember feelings long after they forget words, and the way you make him feel will become the deciding factor in how he values you. When your energy consistently brings light, peace, and inspiration, he will naturally crave more of it because it makes his world better simply by existing. Psychology teaches us that emotions are contagious. When you radiate joy, confidence, and inner calm, he feels it. When you choose to focus on gratitude instead of negativity, he feels it. When you approach challenges with resilience instead of despair, he feels it. Your energy becomes a mirror that reflects the kind of man he wants to be. Without even trying to change him, you inspire him to rise higher. And when a man feels that his life is richer, stronger, and more meaningful because of your presence, he does not just want you, he values you in a way that transcends attraction. Energy is not about pretending to be happy all the time. It is about alignment. It is about cultivating peace within yourself so that you are not easily shaken by the storms outside. When you ground yourself in self-love and clarity, your energy becomes magnetic. You no longer need to force connection or chase validation because your vibration speaks for you. Men are deeply sensitive to this even if they cannot explain it. They know when they are in the presence of someone who carries an energy of confidence and authenticity. And once they feel it, they cannot forget it. This does not mean you must be endlessly cheerful or falsely positive. Real energy is authentic. It allows for moments of vulnerability, yet it never loses its core strength. It says, I may bend, but I will not break. I may feel, but I will not fall apart. That kind of stability and energy is profoundly attractive because it gives him permission to let go of his own battles when he is with you. He feels lighter, freer, more himself, and that freedom binds him to you because freedom is the deepest form of love. Consider how rare it is to meet someone whose presence consistently elevates your spirit. That rarity is what sets you apart. While others may drain him with drama, comparison, or insecurity, you become the one who restores him. You become the calm in his chaos, the light in his uncertainty, the strength in his weakness. And once he has experienced that contrast, once he has felt the peace of your energy compared to the noise of others, he will not risk losing it. He will choose you, not because you demand it, but because his soul feels more alive with you than without you. In the end, what makes a man stay is not only what he sees in you, but what he feels in himself when he is with you. Your energy becomes the invisible thread that ties his heart to yours. And when that thread is woven with light, confidence, and authenticity, it cannot be broken by distance, temptation, or time. It becomes the silent force that keeps him coming back again and again until choosing you is not even a question. It is the only answer.